This might just be the best car in iRacing, or certainly my favourite car in iRacing. It's the Dallara iR-01, which has just been released to the simulator. Whoever does this car, whoever designed it, and I believe it's the same guy that did the LMP2 car, should just do all the cars in iRacing as far as I'm concerned, because at the moment, on the Game of Muscle acceptable iRacing cars, Skip Barber, LMP2 car, and this, that's it. That's it in iRacing for cars that that pass the Game of Muscle teabag chart of acceptable driving. We've loaded up Long Beach here. I've just done 2 laps to make sure that the setup I've got on here is fine or works. Like, there's no problems with it. But I'm not doing a lap at proper pace. I thought it'd be interesting to drive it around the track and talk about why this is such a good car. Why it's so fun. And Long Beach is possibly the best track to test this out, because Long Beach is just brutal. You need a few pints of fermented beverage before getting a car around this track, especially a car of this pace, just to calm the nerves. So here we go, sat in the car. Now I want to be negative first, get that negative out of the way for a change, because we're normally positive. Couple of things with this car. The audio's really bad on it. They should do better audio. The audio does not do it justice, given how fun it is to drive. And the mirrors, which are like LCD screens sellotaped to the cockpit, which you can't see because my cameras are blocking them. They're terrible. Just get rid of them or do something else with the mirrors. Right, that's the bad stuff out of the way. Let's get driving here. So I've got the pedals on the screen and my wheel, which hopefully it all syncs up. That'll be down to Logitech C920 webcams as to if that does line up. But hopefully it does, and hopefully it gives you an idea of the nature of this car, the input required to drive it. Obviously you can see the input on the screen as well. It's worth noting that I'm using iR-FFB with the seat of the pants feel turned up. Personally, I can't drive iRacing without that. I find that kind of seat of the pants feel is vital for force feedback with racing simulators. For me to be able to drive, because I drive from feel, I don't drive from the visuals or the audio so much. But I do have the skid sound turned up quite high in iRacing, as I find the skid sound helps with knowing how much grip you've got. That's a tight last corner. Right. So, what is awesome with this car is normally when I jump into an iRacing car that I've not driven before, or pretty much any iRacing car, I will just be binning it constantly, because you'll be going over the limit, you get into a slide, and you can't like balance it on the brake or on the throttle in or out of the slide without basically just being in a passenger slide and not having control. But with this car, even with the monstrosity bumpiness of a road circuit that this is, and even with this car's really aggressive throttle mapping, like you get on the throttle fully in anything under 4th gear and the back pops out, with all that, you can hold it in the slides and work with the slides and balance the car, overdrive it, and then bring it back. Which, in my mind, that's what race cars should do. That to me, that's like the baseline of any vehicle. You should be able to overdrive it, slide around a bit, and then bring it back. Because obviously, if you're sliding around and overdriving, it's not going to be fast. It's, you're not applying the grip in the power in a way where it's propelling the car forwards. You're applying the power in a way where the car's going sideways, which for almost all corners is not the quickest way around a track. So whatever the designer has done with this car and the LMP2 car, it somehow manages to avoid what is otherwise, like, personally I consider to be a massive physics issue with iRacing. Now obviously if you do get on the throttle too much and you do go too far, you will spin. It's not a train simulator. See, I got on the throttle too much there, I turned too much. But you have, compared to your average iRacing car, you have like 300% more controllable slip with this vehicle. And ironically, this Indy car it's easier to drive than like GT3 cars, the MX-5. Despite this car being mental, for someone that's got the ability to counter steer and modulate the brake and the throttle, it's actually an easier car to drive. That's how absurd the handling is with a lot of the cars in iRacing. And what I love about this though as well, one of the big things I always find lacking in iRacing is you want to go into a corner slightly too hot at times, and then you want to modulate the brake and sort of maybe understeer the car through the corner a bit, control the tightness of the angle through the corner by just tapping the brake a touch, and maybe do that in a little bit of a slide. And often with most cars in iRacing, if you start doing that, you're just losing it basically. Like the tyres sort of flash overheat, or it seems that way, and then the fronts don't bite at all, and you're done. There's no There's no sort of ability with most cars in iRacing to be an aggressive driver. Michael Schumacher it, you know, which is very much, I'm not saying I'm Michael Schumacher, clearly I'm not. I'm Michael Boldmacher. But I find that style of driving on top of the car, moving the car around and playing with the car, I think that's the most fun way to drive. So that's what I look for in all simulators. That's what I'll find the most entertaining in all simulators. And also I find that if you have a simulated car that allows you to do that, it gives you the most margin and most freedom to sort of bail yourself out if you do make a mistake, and makes it the most compelling way to drive. And what the thing is, there's probably a lot of people that watch my channel that aren't massive iRacing fans for various reasons. Genuinely and honestly, this is the closest car in iRacing to something like Live for Speed, Assetto Corsa, Netcar Pro, and Automobilista, which in my mind, those are the sort of benchmark racing titles in terms of, not necessarily in terms of individual car raw detail and certain suspension or what God knows what other aspects of physics, but in terms of end drive approach, end drive, what the tyres do and how realistic that end drive is, the sort of controllable slip and everything. That was close. Live for Speed, AC, Automobilista 1, in my mind, are the benchmark for that. And this is so much closer than that than anything else in iRacing. So I mean, you know, I will say I've not done enough races in this car to really, you know, there might be some aspect to it that's really annoying that I've not discovered yet, which you sort of find when you start actually get more competitive. But this is so promising for iRacing, and not just that we've got this car, this Indy car, but that LMP2 car is very much like this as well. And I was thinking with that LMP2 car, oh, that's maybe because of the traction control systems, you know, rather than it being an innate aspect of the car design. This Indy car doesn't, as far as I'm aware, I don't think it has any, unless it's totally baked into it. It doesn't have any of those la-di-da systems on it. It's a proper raw vehicle. This is so raw that you come out of this car medium rare. I can't wait to race this. So I really enjoyed the LMP2 car, but I'm not the biggest fan of mixed class racing. It's great. It's good fun. It's a good thing to do, but I'm not like. I'd rather everyone be in the same class car racing for me personally, because then it just increases there's more likelihood for you to be racing other people and long battles when it's just everyone's in the same car as opposed to mixed class racing. The whole sort of mixed class thing is good fun, and it does produce a lot of. It's good in and of itself. I'm not having a go at mixed multi-class racing here with that LMP2 car, but you know what I'm saying. I would quite like to just have a grid of the LMP2 car. But this is fine. Can we get back to the pits? Sorry guys.
On your left. You're on the left.
Oh man, I've done one full race at Road America in this car, and it was just fun. Like, it was just enjoyable. Why did I go into neutral? There we go. It's just compelling. Oh, God. Oh. That'll do. The pit crew can wheel me back. I'm paying them. They can wheel me back. Very rarely with iRacing do I jump into a car and I'm like, right, I want to drive that more. I know if you're an iRacing, you're a big fan of the service, maybe you do, you know, maybe you love all the cars, whatever. But it should say something that as a somewhat iRacing skeptic, specifically aspects of the tire model at the limit, as an iRacing skeptic, this and that and the previous LMP2 car are actually appealing to me. That's significant to iRacing. That shows you how significant this car is in terms of either they've got it very wrong or they've got it very right. Right, let's do another flying lap, and then what I'm going to do is we're going to try and do a race in this car as a separate content. So the video after this one will be me probably getting punted because this track is known for safe, easy driving. Another thing worth pointing. Oh, okay. That was cold tyres and too much throttle going over a bump there. So I am spinning this car occasionally, but it's my fault. It's so obviously my fault. That's what you want. It should always, like any video game, it should always feel like your fault. That's good gameplay. Worth saying with this car, I was about to say it before I rudely was rotated by the throttle pedal and the bump on the track. How dare it? What's really nice as well is that aspect of being able to chuck it in, the lateral ply. So when you go over some of these corners, even though you're trail braking, something that's notoriously bad in iRacing, and even if you've weighted up the car and you've proper chucked it in, you can lean on the tyres. You feel like you can lean on the tyres. And that's just fun. It just feels really nice, feeling that you've got like huge amounts of grip. I would definitely say though, I don't ever like to make sort of outright physics claims because I don't have the data for what this type of car actually is, and I'm not a particular snob in terms of the micro details of physics. You know, does this car exactly line up to what a real world car would do? I don't really care if the general handling dynamics are there. I'm just going to drive the car as best I can in the sim, as long as it's not frustrating with it auto binning you or some like physics hole. Then I don't really care. But I do feel with this car, being here we go, annoying sim racer mode. I do feel like, given that it has such huge tyres, which as a result you then get that sort of mechanical grip from that, I do feel like the initial groove and the initial bite is probably less than what I would personally expect from cars with tyres like this. So the nature of this car is that it's generally relatively slidey. It actually drives how you sort of expect Indy cars, current Indy cars to drive, where they do seem to be sliding around quite a lot. Obviously a large part of that would also be down to how grippy a given track surface is. But I would certainly expect a car with monster tyres like this to be more grip, like super grip, and then it pops out. Still a little bit controllable, still, not iRacing death, but super grip, and then a sort of a very peaky tyres, very on off. But this is, I say, this has very progressive slides to it. It's not as peaky as I think I would personally expect tyres of this size to do, but I don't really care because at the end of the day, it's fun. Sorry for the car that's behind me that I'm blocking. The way you can just trying to slide into these corners, not too much. Trying to get on the power, not too much. Trying to brake as hard as possible with the back popping out a bit. Trying to... You go into the corner a little bit too hot so that you then understeer away from the barrier, especially on a track like this. Oh, dear. So it's just fun. It's just fun, guys. Fun factor. Sean Cole fun factor. Hi, guys. I'm Sean Cole. And on this episode of Inside Sim Racing, I'm going to be building a Burrow sim rig and driving the new Dallara in iRacing.
You got a toy car on the right.
Fun Sean Cole fun factor. Subscribe to the Sim Pit, guys. Really good YouTube channel. This is.
Toy car ahead.
We're in like 8 T-bag territory, which is rare. Normally we're in like 6, 7 T-bag territory. Normally with iRacing, it's 4, 5 T-bag territory. This is. We're not even in VR, guys. Maybe in VR we're getting to 9 T-bags. Oh no, the sound takes the T-bag off. Let's be real. Let's not decrease the value of our T-bags. Oh, he's got in the wall. Ah, dear. Right. So, basically, what I'm saying is, if you have iRacing, or you like iRacing, first of all, if you've not got iRacing, be aware that it does cost sort of like £350 to £400 for the first 2 years if you were to get a little bit of content, a few tracks, enough to actually race and enjoy it properly. So keep that in mind. By all means, use my iRacing referral code if you do get into iRacing, and that helps me buy content like the dirty YouTuber that I am, getting stuff for free. But if you're normally a fan of like Live for Speed, Assetto Corsa,
Still there.
trying to move out of the way.
You got a penalty for cutting the cord.
I moved out of the way. I was being a nice person. Yeah, if you're a fan of Live for Speed, Assetto Corsa, Automobilista, this car might actually, and if you don't like iRacing previously, this and the LMP2 car might actually tickle your pickle. So, yes, right. Off to do a race in this car. It's gonna if it goes well, there'll be a video. If it doesn't go well, there won't be a video. But thanks for watching this. Look at the water coming out the fountain. Look at those textures. Amazing. Thanks for watching this, guys. Hope you have a nice day today. Hope you have a good weekend. Happy tea drinking. Happy sim racing. And goodbye, everybody.